You're welcome back. It's still Daybreak here on Trust TV, and now let's take a look at the stories that made it to the front pages of our dailies. Starting off with Daily Trust. Boldly on the front page of Daily Trust, we have there tax reform bills. Reps committee proposes major changes. Drops VAT increase, modifies inheritance tax, sustains funding of TETFund, NIDA, and NASENI. And then meningitis kills 26 in Kebbi and 1 in Sokoto. You find that on page 3. Life expectancy in Nigeria now 54.6 years below global average. And Tinubu to Fubara implement Supreme Court judgment. Those are the stories you have there on the front page of Daily Trust. Do well to grab yourself a copy and keep yourself informed. All right, let's take a look at Guardian. Now, on Guardian newspaper there, we have boldly, federal government may scale down concrete road project over 73% spike in cost. Okay, so the cost of living is affecting the government. Still on Guardian, reps want new ATM charges suspended, pornographic websites banned, and Edo government accuses PDP leaders of sponsoring insecurity. Fubara, amid impeachment threat, Tinubu charges Niger Delta leaders on peace and rule of law. Still on Guardian, reps direct Nigerian army to release reports on Okwama killings, and Nigeria's oil production drops as country earns $3 billion in February. Owando expands Caribbean footprint in Gorakara refinery release, and diphtheria outbreak. Lagos begins mass vaccination at King's College Annex. Well, that's the story we have there on Guardian. Do well to grab yourself a copy and keep yourself informed. Let's take a look at Punch. On Punch, there, boldly, killing spree. Anger over herders, deadly attacks in Ondo, Benue, Nasarawa, 30 killed. Ondo protesters regent attacks government over killing. Benue local government secretariat palace raised in fire. And then we also have ECOWAS defense chiefs activate standby force. Wu, Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. Marketers project 800 naira per litre as imported petrol cost drops. 5 billion naira vehicle purchase deepens Obasa Miranda's feud, and Tinubu meets Niger Delta leaders. Fubara plans meeting with pro-Wike lawmakers. On the top, Natasha takes face-off with Senate to the UN. All right, those are the stories we have there in Punch. And let's take a look at Nigerian Tribune. A Nigerian Tribune, still on Rivers crisis, Tinubu wants court ruling respected. Says if we lose Niger Delta, we lose the golden egg. Rivers crisis may have national consequences, says Pandef, and Fubara says he is prepared to fully implement Supreme Court's judgment. Confesses past 16 months has not been easy. Still on Nigerian Tribune, protest rocks Ondo over abduction of another 9 surveyors. And Osun local government crisis, APP files contempt proceedings against APC local government chairman. Block all pornographic websites in Nigeria, reps tell NCC. 68 million poor Nigerians captured in National Social Register, and U.S. mission Nigeria reaffirms robust relationship with the EFCC. Now on the top, Supreme Court upholds Ayedatiwa's victory, dismisses Ajayi's case, and ECOWAS activates standby force to fight terrorism. Those are the stories we have there on the front page of Nigerian Tribune. Now back to the studio, we'll be joining our reviewer who is live on Zoom, Ben Shemang, former Director of News, Voice of Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we're seeing the tax reform bills coming up and showing its head again on, Daily Trust. They're saying that reps propose major changes like dropping of the VAT increase, modifies inheritance tax, and sustain funding for TETFund. What's your take on how long this has lingered? Does it mean that it is something that would benefit Nigerians in the long run, being that it's been critically looked into? What's your take on it and the modifications that reps have proposed on it?
I think that ab initio, when the bill was being proposed, since it was also or remains an executive bill, it ought to have been a kind of passage through Ministry of Information. I mean, by way of flying a kite, that there is the need for there to be tax reform in Nigeria. Then NOA will take over in terms of trying to sensitize Nigerians to accept it. But it was like ambushing the people and just going to the parliament from the executive side. But if, however, you've seen the heat that came up, especially from the northern part of the country, if the government is feeling that, okay, it's now sensitive and it can still rework it, fine. And in particular, when you're talking about the inland revenue, for example, value tax, if you say it's high, you want to reduce it, well, it also falls in line with the thinking of many people, because virtually everything is being taxed, and it goes down to the consumer. Because it's really not, how is it affecting, for example, the man who has aeroplanes? How is it affecting the man who has the ships in the water? How is it affecting all these people in very big business, big hotels and all that stuff? Because the cost will always be transferred to the last consumer. If you are a guest, for example, in a hotel, the cost is transferred onto you. If you increase the electricity bill in the name of trying to jack up taxes, of course the consumer, the poor man in the street receives it. If you increase pump prices of petrol, for example, the commuter will be at the receiving end. Whatever it is, the end user is always the masses. And that's why in terms of education too, some people are saying if care is not taken, it's also bound to affect even education. So it's nice that government says, okay, let's look at some of the basic ingredients. What could be dropped, what could be a kind of return.
All right. Thank you very much for that. Now we're seeing that life expectancy in Nigeria now 54.6 years below global average. What do you make of that?
Well, I hope the statistics are right, because if life expectancy falls as low as below 60%, um, what is the basic standard? So are we also saying that people of that age are now dying faster? I mean, that's why we need to know. If we say, let's look at AMAC, for example, people of that age, how many of them have died around so time, let's say 3 years ago, 2 years ago, then last year, how many? So that we begin to infer, because we do know that some people, in spite of the hardship, they still live very long. So sometimes we tend to celebrate some statistics. Some statistics are also very scary. But all the same, there's also the need to have a better life, health facilities, and well, we are also seeing that the government is reacting by way of appointing or turning some general hospitals into federal medical centers. It's an attempt to take the healthcare down to the grassroots. I still remember Dr. Beko, Ransom Kuti, Olukoye Ransom Kuti, who was the father of healthcare. I mean, healthcare at the rural areas, so that whatever can be tackled at the village level in a dispensary should not even reach a general hospital, not to talk of a special hospital, specialist hospital, so that at the rural area, healthcare experts are sent there to take care of the people, instead of villagers traveling long distances just to go to a general hospital. So all of this will entail there is a good long life expectancy, and we also have to have some employment, employ the youth, because many of them are living under duress, no employment, no security. The future looks bleak, and when there are employments, the conditions are so stiff, and at the point you say, if you are age, this don't even bother to apply. So, and you waste time so much. There's strike in the schools, in universities. You can't graduate, you can't go for NYC, nothing. So, if you now say yes, the conditions are also palpable, they are seeable, they are discernible, that life expectancy could be rough and down there. Yes, I understand.
All right, indeed. Well, we hope that in addition to all you have spoken, self-care is very important. And as a Nigerian, though the country might be tough, it's important to take out time and take care of yourself the little way you can. Nothing is too much. Now, moving on away from that now, Tinubu to Fubara, implement Supreme Court judgment. We saw a lot that has, everything that's been playing out in River State, and for everyone have spoken to as saying that this is affecting the state. It's beyond what is happening between, the pro-Wiki and the pro-Fubara movement and all whatnot. But what is your take in the stance of the Supreme Court and the fact that APC came out to tell the governor it's either you resign or you will be impeached, being that the lawmakers had given you an ultimatum to submit your budget to them? A lot is playing out basically. What's your take on where, what is going, where this is leading for River State?
I think that there's too much pressure on the governor, because the threats are too much and too many coming from different fronts. And for the president to also meet with the Niger Delta, the PANDEF, and simply saying, look, work on security in your area. The governor, everything, governor, ensure the judgment of the Supreme Court is implemented. And the Supreme Court also ruled that the central bank should not even release money to people, to River State, which also means that if you implement that, all those who are supposed to be in intensive care units in general hospitals, there's no gas for them. It also follows that those who are supposed to do operations, to buy equipment or kit for the operations, okay, the law says don't release money to them. So in implementing the Supreme Court judgment, there has to be also some human face. And when we say the law itself, we look at quite a lot of things. Just like Senate President once described Natasha as those who came in via the judiciary. We just recall that the same Akpabio too was busy campaigning to be president, campaigning to, in fact, he challenged Tinubu, but when he didn't get it, he went back to look for the position of a senator. And as at that time, his own zone had already done the primaries. So we see that something happened. They went to court, and the court said Akpabio won. When primaries had been done, results presented, INEC witnessed that. So when we just simply say obey the law, it's a very big thing that will engulf almost everything, everyone, if not consuming quite a lot of people. So let's wait and see. The governor is preaching peace. I think that is just the last option he has. But some people who are already describing him as a drowning man who can also hold a paper that is floating on water to see if that will save him. But all the same, is impeaching him the best? I can see even the River State Independent Electoral Commission chairman is declared wanted. He should come and account for the election money used in conducting the flood elections there. So quite a lot of things in Rivers. So we hope that there will be no bloodletting in that place. Let the rule of law take its course. Let people conscience guide the conduct. People of conscience there come together and let's see what happens. And all those lawmakers that left PDP to another, and some left APC to a whole lot of things when it comes to judiciary. Virtually every angle is there in Rivers. So we hope that the rivers will be very, very calm, not the stormy river as some people are envisaging.
All All right, thank you very much. We're seeing this whole you mentioned Akpabio, so it brought us back to a story we saw on Punch, where the video has been all over social media, where Natasha took what happened in the Senate to the Women Parliamentary in the United Nations there in New York. What is your take on that move she made? A lot of Nigerians are applauding, owing to the fact that the petition she raised was not addressed, but rather she was suspended for a different petition that was being raised. Well, her petition was not addressed or wasn't even put on the table in the first place. According to what she said at the parliament, she said that the Senate president should have recused himself, so a proper investigation should have taken place in regards to the petition that she made, if at all it was considered. So what's your take on how far she has taken this, and what do you see, coming out of it?
Yeah, in many battles, it appears virtually, I say virtually, but not all. Not all instruments of war are legal, and that's why even when Russia has the capacity of nuclear, is not releasing all of that on Ukraine, because it's not every instrument that is legal in battle. So to Natasha, she has to even go to the United Nations, and she has done so. I was listening to her. She just said, "Look, it's not as if she's there to disgrace Nigeria. Rather, she's advancing the cause of our women who have been downgraded by the Nigerian Senate." And if you also remember, when you had the chairman of the Senate Committee on Ethics and Privileges Committee, Senator Ineswe, he said the petition was dead on arrival because he looked at technicalities. What are these technicalities? You have a petition, you are the petitioner, you shouldn't be the one to sign. Natasha signed her own petition herself. So by so doing, she has contravened the rules in the Senate. But has that swept away? Has that cleaned the fact that she's looking for justice, and that's why she's gone to the UN, and that's also why she's saying that she's not there to disgrace Nigeria. She's there to look for justice, and justice should flow like a stream that has no obstacles, so that we have a very calm Nigeria, a calm everything for the women of the world, not just women of Nigeria. So she's right to cry, and wherever she can, so that someone somewhere wipes her tears. As for the fact that Senator Akpabio didn't step down, even Saraki said when he was accused twice, he stepped down. He preferred to go to the dock and was tried, and the air found to have nothing to do with all those allegations. So he returned to the Senate, and that was why he was saying, or he has been saying that Akpabio should have done what he, Saraki, did, because you cannot. They are accusing you. You are the judge in your case. You are the one to deliver judgment. There's no way Akpabio would deliver judgment against himself.
All right. Thank you very much, Ben Sherman, for always joining us on our review daily, weekly, to give us fresh insight and perspectives to the stories we have on papers. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we've come to the end of the newspaper segment, and we had with us Ben Shemang, former director of news, Voice of Nigeria, there, giving us his insight to the stories that made it to the front pages of our daily. And we've come to the end of the show as well. On behalf of our production crew, we say a big thank you for sticking around. To everyone who called in and those who sent their messages, we do appreciate you, and we do not take you for granted. And to our guests who came into the studio, on behalf of the production crew, we say a big thank you. It's International Women's Month, the entire month of March. Do something nice to women, and as a woman, stand up and speak up for yourself where necessary, and support other women who have found themselves in position that needs your support. Having said that, we'll see you again same time, same station tomorrow.